ये है पिग्गू। इसने भी आईवी लीग यूनिवर्सिटी का चश्मा पहन लिया है। इसको भी न्यूयॉर्क, कनेटिकट, बॉस्टन जैसे शहरों में रहना है, लाइफ एंजॉय करनी है। लेकिन इसको ये नहीं पता कि आज की दुनिया में, आज की तारीख में आईवी लीग यूनिवर्सिटी एक स्मार्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट है या फिर एक कॉस्टली इल्यूजन। तो इस वीडियो में हम पिग्गू की आंखों से आईवी लीग यूनिवर्सिटी का चश्मा उतारेंगे और इसको क्लियर करेंगे whether to make that choice or not. If you're new to the channel, my name is Sheetal. I am the founder of DuesPaid, where we simplify your study abroad journey. अगर आपने अभी तक चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है, then I must tell you, you are missing out on some of the great advices and insights we have about studying in the US. So go and subscribe now. Now let's talk about the Ivy League University classes. So let's start with the sticker price. स्टिकर प्राइस वो होता है जो यूनिवर्सिटीज अपने ब्रोशर पे, वेबसाइट्स पे और इंफॉर्मेशन पेजेस पे एडवर्टाइज करती हैं एज द कॉस्ट ऑफ अटेंडेंस. फॉर कोलंबिया यूनिवर्सिटी इन 2025-26 सेशन, द कॉस्ट ऑफ अटेंडेंस दैट इंक्लूड्स ट्यूशन, housing, food, miscellaneous and medical expenses was somewhere around $97,000 for a first year undergraduate student. Harvard University is also very close with $86,000 for a first year undergraduate student as their cost of attendance. Cornell University also has the same sticker price as Columbia University at $96,000 per year. These are not made up numbers or just typos. These are the real figures that families see on the brochures of the university and the bill summaries. But sticker price is not the net price that you pay. Let me break it down for you. So net price is basically sticker price minus financial aid, scholarships, and all the aid that you might be receiving from the university. For Harvard University, starting from 2025-26 academic session, families earning less than $200,000 pay no tuition fee. And those families that have an annual income of less than $100,000 pay nothing at all. And that package includes everything: housing, food, medical expenses, health insurance, travel home, and you also get 2 grants. One grant is provided to you at the start of your program, which is in first year, and that is of $2,000. The next grant that you receive is in your junior year, and that is also of $2,000. Harvard also reports that when a student who's admitted to Harvard University receives any kind of financial aid or scholarships, the annual amount that they end up paying is just $13,000. So the sticker price can be whatever it is, but what you pay as your net amount is something that you need to keep in mind while making a decision. Columbia University's aid is equally aggressive. Parents earning less than $66,000 a year are expected to contribute $0 towards their child's education. Parents and families that have an annual income of less than $150,000 get tuition-free packages. If you qualify for financial aid at Columbia University as an undergraduate student based on your demonstrated need, there are so many ways in which the university supports you. A, the university will pay all the amount that you cannot afford to pay. That means whatever is your demonstrated need, they will cover it. B, they will not ask you to take out loan and that amount will be settled through scholarships or grants. C, you will get a $2,000 startup grant so that you can settle into your new life. And that amount can be spent on anything: books, college supplies, and even on moving. Now let's have a quick reality check on what Ivy League even means today. Ivy League began as an athletic conference, not as a club of Nobel laureates. The 8 universities that are part of Ivy League today got together in 1945 and established a formal athletic Ivy Group agreement. Later on in 1954, the term Ivy League came into existence. As these universities kept performing well in sports, they established themselves as high league universities and attracted more financial attention from across the world. And within no time, these 8 universities established themselves as top universities mainly because of the financial status that they had and the facilities they were able to offer because of the finances. With time, they kept becoming wealthy. But the question arises that if these universities are so wealthy, Why charge the students so much? What we need to understand is that endowment funds are huge, but they are very restricted. At Harvard University in 2024, the endowment fund stood at staggering 53 billion US dollars. For Columbia University, the endowment fund number was close to 13 billion US dollars. You might question that these universities have so much money they can practically fund everybody's education. But these endowment funds are also used for day-to-day functioning and revenue operations. At Harvard University, the endowment funds in 2024 contributed to 37% of the revenue operation. And those endowment funds are supposed to be for vital support. They are not an all-purpose piggy bank that can be opened up whenever the university or its students require something. This is all about finances and how these universities tackle money. But do these universities really add a value to your career when you go to an Ivy League university versus when you go to a public funded university? And my answer is a very simple, plain yes. Let me break it down for you. One thing to keep in mind is who enrolls in these universities and who benefits the most. A research led by Raj Chetty of Opportunity Insights revealed that Ivy Plus universities, which include the 8 Ivy League universities and other reputed schools like MIT, University of Chicago, and Stanford, enroll 14.5% students from the top 1% wealthy families as compared to just 13.5% from the entire 50% of the bottom income families, which means that these universities have been a hub for wealthy people to receive quality education historically. And you know what is more surprising? If there are two students, one comes from a high income family and the other comes from a low income family, and they both have same test scores, the chances of getting into an Ivy Plus university is more than twice for the person who's coming from a high income family as compared to that who is from a low income background. Now let's talk about the nuance. Getting admission into an Ivy League university and actually attending an Ivy League university are two different phenomena, but they do have causal effects. If you attend an Ivy League university and you graduate with a degree, your chances of getting into the 1% earners list increase by more than 60% as compared to if you had attended a well-reputed flagship public university. Your chances of getting into an elite graduate program, that is master's level program, doubles if you attend an Ivy League university as compared to a public university. And the odds of working at a prestigious firm triples if you attend an Ivy League university as compared to a public funded university. And these are the effects that you just can't explain by test scores. That door opening effect is real, especially in certain fields like finance, consulting, or high-end tech. But outcomes are not one size fits all. Your major that you choose in your university education largely decide what will be your earning potential. Georgetown University's Center for Education and Workforce did a research. The research revealed that the lifetime earnings of different majors can differ by millions, whereas the first-year income could only differ by $80,000 or so. So the translation is very simple. A high ROI engineering degree from a public university will actually beat a low ROI major degree at an Ivy League university. Another thing to keep in mind is that completion matters. Ivy League universities are among the universities that have highest graduation rates in the US, which means if a student enrolls in an Ivy League university, he or she is more likely to complete the degree. You should check out the US College Scorecard for every campus before you choose a university. And that ways you will get an idea about where the university stands in terms of completion and post-graduation earnings. And if you're looking at salaries and post-graduation earnings, look at them by majors and not by national averages. That would give you a clearer picture of how the major looks like in the actual US workforce. I will add a small pre-enrollment checklist in the description of this video, and that ways you can check each college, each university, and the cost of attendance based on your assets, finances, and what would be more beneficial for you in your particular major. So here is the biggest question. Is it worth it? So if you are a student from a low income background and you get admitted into an Ivy League university with low cost or near zero plan, then that opportunity could be life changing for you. You will get access to state of the art facilities and resources, elite networks, and peers and professors who will be well established in their fields. And best part is that you will beat the odds of completion without having any debt burden. So that would be a win-win situation for you. The situation gets a little trickier for people who are coming from upper middle class or middle class families, because you will get scholarship or financial aid which would give you some sort of support, but it will not cover the entire cost of attendance. And that is where you need to keep in mind a strong calculation. If your public university degree comes close to your Ivy League university after the financial aid, then it's better to get into an Ivy League plus university, because that will open up so many doors for you in terms of opportunities and connections. But if the difference between a public funded university and the Ivy League is somewhere between $20,000 to $30,000 a year, then I would suggest that you should go with a public funded universities, because no degree, no education, no university is worth that kind of debt that would leave you hopeless once you complete the degree without having a concrete financial plan for the future. And remember, the Ivy League started as a sports championship, not as a hub for Nobel laureates. So that is not the end of the world. The brand can open up doors for you, but those doors will only remain open if you have the skills, mindset, and persistence to keep them open. So what are you waiting for? Dream big, do the math, and choose the path that maximizes both opportunity and freedom. I'll meet you in another video where we will simplify another aspect of studying abroad. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep paying your dues for a better tomorrow.